I'm Cinema Siren, Leslie Cornwall, guiding film lovers through a sea of celluloid. This week, Pompeii, starring Game of Thrones Kit Harington and Emily Browning, Kiefer Sutherland, and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. It's a disaster movie, which is always exciting at the beginning of the year, and it's based in Pompeii, obviously, hence the name, and it's in 3D.
I think one of the key things for most historians and for us was the letters of Pliny the Younger, who actually witnessed the explosion and recorded it all. And he wrote a series of letters describing it over the couple of years after the eruption. And those letters are very, very descriptive. They detail the falling ash. They detail the fire. They detail the Bay of Naples with the water draining, which is where we of course get our tsunami and tidal wave from. So he provided quite an accurate description of what the disaster was in fairly broad terms. And in fact, he was so descriptive that for a long time no one really took him seriously. They thought he kind of made a lot of this stuff up because no one believed that a disaster of this kind could actually happen. I think we're making a disaster movie, and if you're to believe the disaster and to believe that people are really in jeopardy and that this destruction is really happening, it has to be realistic. There were two ways we could have gone about making this movie. There was the kind of like the way we did it, which was we built big sets and we shot on them for real, and we had ash falling and we had real flame, we had people on fire running around. Obviously there's computer generated images in the film, but we tried to give everything a basis in reality. And even the physics of the computer-generated stuff is real. It's not kind of cartoony. It's like when a rock falls, it falls at the right speed, it falls at the right velocity. It really looks like a rock. And if it hits someone on the head, they react the way they would do if they really got hit by a rock. There's nothing kind of cartoony about it. There's no wire work in the movie. There's no overly elaborate stunt work. It's all real. And I think that gives you an investment in the movie and in the characters that you wouldn't have if you didn't believe it.
The story of Vesuvius and the eruption of Vesuvius has kind of resonated over the years, and I was always intrigued by these plaster casts of humans caught in the eruption in moments of time, and so when I got the script through the door and it was Pompeii, I thought that should have been made into a film by now, and it hasn't, obviously. So that was the first thing that drew me to it. I think what drew me to Milo from word go was this mission he's on. And it's not a mission anywhere in particular, it's just it's a mission of vengeance. You see at the start of the film how his family was slaughtered before him. And he doesn't, because of that, doesn't believe in anything. He doesn't believe that there's any freedom in the world, and he's on a path to, he's on a death wish, really, and I kind of like that about him. He's going to kill as many Romans and as many people, and he doesn't really care about anything until he meets Cassia, and then things slightly change. But of course the volcano goes off and everything goes wrong. So I just liked his drive, his death wish, and his drive and his vengeance, and I love that about him. I love characters like that.
It's interesting you say that, and I still take that. I spent 3 years at drama school. I still take the approach I did there, and I do focus very much on costume and very much on a specific thing. So, for this role, the body transformation was the first. For another role, it might be the voice. Like for Jon Snow, it was the cloak and it was the voice, and that's kind of, and then I could work around that, and then that brings me to who he is, and I can click into that. With this role, it was, right, I want to get as muscly, as fit, as lean, as kind of badass looking as I can, and that will take me to the character and how he moves and how he reacts. And sometimes a good thing to do is get you want to get, it's not a particularly deep character role, but you want to get an image of an animal in there sometimes. And the one I got was like a little, one of those little bulldogs, like a terrier. He was like that. He's so quick and so aggressive, and that's what I wanted to. So there's various different routes that you go around, but I don't work from any sort of a method level. I find that's distracting to me. Jon Snow is driven by duty and honour. He believes in goodness, and he believes in righteousness, and he believes in looking out for those weaker than him. Milo comes into the movie believing in absolutely nothing. He believes in, if he believes in anything, he believes in death, and he believes in bloodlust, and he believes in killing things. And he's almost on that kind of autistic spectrum where he doesn't emotionally connect with anything. And I like that about him. Yeah, whereas Jon is very emotional. So there was that, it was the emotional balance that was different. And the interesting thing with this movie is that he finds hope, he finds ambition, he finds who he is and his emotions just as the volcano goes off. It's kind of like a nice sort of analogy for him igniting as a person. It's a huge season for my character, which is great. I had a lot to do. It is not. Well, I always think it goes impact. The first season was an impact season with Sean Bean's death. Second season was very action with Battle of Blackwater. Third season was impact with the Red Wedding. Fourth season goes back to an action sense, and there's lots of death. There's lots of fighting. The whole world is imploding in on itself, and they've spent more money on it than they've ever spent. I think it's probably the most expensive season of TV ever made. It's got the most expensive episode, and I'm probably saying too much, so I'll shut up. Yeah.
So, Pompeii, should you see it or shouldn't you? Are you interested? Are you obsessed with the history of Pompeii and with the disaster? It's a great disaster flick. You know what? Disaster flicks do not get great reviews because by their very nature, they're all about explosions and excitement. But you know what? Kit Harington is a really good actor, and there are some great supporting actors in this movie. I actually suggest you go see this. It's a lot of fun. It's 3D. There's a lot of explosions. There's a love story. He's gorgeous to look at. It's got Kiefer Sutherland. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. Do go see it. It's lots of fun. And hey, it's early in the year. You need something distracting for this time of the year. This is Cinema Siren telling you, go find a new favorite film. Thanks a lot for watching. Cinema.